Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching World Today. I'm Mohana Priya. Now, before we begin, let's take a quick look at today's top stories.
The United States launched a new wave of strikes against Iran, saying the attacks were aimed at reducing Tehran's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial vessels using the Strait of Hormuz. The strikes come as commercial vessel traffic through the strategic waterway has dropped sharply following Iran's latest announcement that it had closed the Strait of Hormuz again. Several West Asian countries activated their air defense systems and sounded air raid alarms on Sunday. Qatar raised its security threat level through a public alert issued by the Ministry of Interior, while Jordan also activated its air defense system. An explosive fire at a popular pub in Bangkok has killed 27 people. Another 63 people were injured and were hospitalized. A number of the victims were found near a fire exit, and authorities believe there may have been obstructions blocking it. A wildfire along the A6 motorway south of Paris spread into the Fontainebleau forest, forcing authorities to close the highway in both directions as firefighters battled to contain the blaze. Around 100 firefighters were deployed, supported by 2 heavy helicopters and a water bombing aircraft. A month after the expanded 48-team tournament began, the World Cup has reached the semi-final stage, with France facing Spain on Wednesday before Argentina take on England the following day. Argentina are aiming to become the first team since Brazil in 1962 to win back-to-back World Cups. They will face England in Atlanta, with Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane leading the team.
The United States launched a new wave of strikes against Iran on Sunday, saying the attacks were aimed at degrading Tehran's ability to target civilian mariners and commercial vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The new strikes came after US and Iranian forces exchanged heavy missile and drone attacks over the weekend, with Tehran targeting US facilities across the Gulf and saying it had again closed the Strait of Hormuz. The renewed violence casts further doubt on the future of an interim US-Iranian agreement signed last month that aimed to reopen the strait and end the war after a further 60 days of negotiations. Several regions in southern Iran's Hormozgan province were attacked, with 1 person killed and 2 others wounded on Farur Island. All 3 victims were employees of the province's telecommunications company. Earlier, the explosions were heard in the port city of Bandar Abbas and Kashim Island, both in Hormozgan. The explosion sounds came from east of Bandar Abbas and Mesen village, south of Kashim Island. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz has seen a steep decline in commercial vessel traffic following Iran's latest announcement that it had closed the strategic waterway again. Ship tracking data cited by Iranian authorities on Sunday show that only 11 commercial vessels, including 8 tankers and 3 cargo ships, transited the Strait of Hormuz over the past 24 hours. Early Sunday morning, the Navy of Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps announced that the Strait of Hormuz was closed after it fired warning shots at a vessel that attempted to transit the strategic waterway via an unapproved route. As a result of the incident, the strait would remain closed until further notice and until the end of US interference in the region. The latest strikes also heightened security concerns across the region, with several West Asian countries activating their air defense systems and sounding air raid alarms on Sunday. Missile alert sirens sounded in Bahrain as the United Arab Emirates and Qatar also came under attack. The UAE Defense Ministry said that its air defense systems were engaging missile and drone threats, while Bahrain's Interior Ministry urged residents to remain calm and proceed to their nearest safe location. Qatar's Ministry of Interior issued a public alert raising the country's security threat level. It also said that 3 people were injured by falling shrapnel, including a child. So far, injured people have been hospitalized for treatment. Jordan also initiated its air defense system. The country's General Command of Air Forces noted that 3 missiles from the direction of Iran landed in multiple locations within Jordan. Although no casualties were caused, the strikes resulted in minor property damage. On a related note, Malaysians in Qatar were told to comply with security instructions issued by the authorities there following fresh US and Iranian strikes. The Malaysian embassy in Doha urged Malaysians to stay alert to their environment at all times. The embassy also advised those journeying from or through Qatar to refer to the latest flight schedules to avoid disruptions. The United Nations called on the US and Iran to continue diplomatic efforts and ease current tensions, as Iran warned that it would no longer be bound by the bilateral Memorandum of Understanding if the US continues to violate its obligations. The spokesman for the United Nations, Stefan Dujarric, stressed the importance of continuing diplomacy and voiced hope that the two sides will move negotiations forward to promote comprehensive political solution at an early date.
The most important thing is for diplomacy to continue. I mean, we have seen over the last 24 hours a sort of lull in the kinetic activity. We see reports that the discussions are ongoing, and we hope that they are.
The US accused Iran of violating the MOU reached between both sides, saying it was ready to hold Tehran accountable. Iran, however, accused Washington of breaching the UN Charter and the agreement through its attacks on Iranian facilities and islands earlier this month.
Seorang jurutera perunding dihadapkan ke Mahkamah Session Kuala Lumpur hari ini atas tuduhan menerima rasuah berhubung projek pembinaan Stadium Duta Perdana.
Saya sebenarnya ada benda saya nak laporkan, tuan.
Laporkan jika anda mempunyai maklumat mengenai rasuah. Jangan biarkan rasa takut menghalang kerana anda dilindungi oleh Akta Perlindungan Pemberi Maklumat. Rasuah dihina, maruah dibina.
At least 4 Palestinians were killed after an iron workshop in the Sabra area of Gaza City was targeted by Israeli airstrikes. Witnesses said that the area was hit by 3 missiles fired by the Israeli army. Footage shows several missiles slamming into the neighborhood, triggering huge explosions and sending thick plumes of smoke and shrapnel into the air. Residents and journalists at the scene can be seen fleeing in panic. Following the strike, residents could be seen examining the aftermath, including a huge crater left by the strikes. The Israel Defense Forces said it had struck a weapons production site in Gaza City, claiming Hamas were operating in the area. The attack occurred despite the ceasefire agreed between Israel and Hamas in October 2025 remaining in effect. Ukraine struck 14 Russian vessels on Sunday, including 10 tankers and 4 ferries. It said the attacks brought the total number of Russian vessels hit in the past 7 days to 90. The Russian governor said a drone attack sparked a fire at an industrial zone in Russia's southern Stavropol region as Ukraine intensifies its strikes in response to Moscow's attacks. Emergency and firefighting services were at the scene and there was no reports of casualties. Moscow's mayor separately posted early on Monday morning that a total of 11 drones headed towards the capital had been downed. Ukraine has been striking Russia, particularly energy targets, which Kyiv says is fair retribution for Moscow's more than 4-year barrages against its territory. The Foreign Ministry confirmed a Malaysian died while climbing Mount Elbrus in Russia on Saturday. In a statement, the ministry, also known as Wisma Putra, said that the deceased was among 3 Malaysians taking part in a Mount Elbrus climbing expedition organised by a local operator. The Embassy of Malaysia in Moscow has established contact with the deceased family in Malaysia, as well as the 2 other Malaysians who participated in the expedition, to coordinate all necessary arrangements and provide the appropriate consular assistance to the family. Wisma Putra stated that the embassy would remain in contact with the relevant authorities in Russia, monitor developments in this case and provide necessary consular assistance to ensure that all related arrangements are carried out smoothly. The ministry also extended its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased. Standing at 5,642 meters, Mount Elbrus in southern Russia is the highest mountain in Europe and a popular destination for mountaineers from around the world. Now, 6 people were killed and at least 7 injured when an off-duty member of the Chilean Navy lost control of his car and ploughed into the Caupolicán Fair in Vina del Mar. The vehicle reportedly struck barriers before crashing into the open-air market, hitting pedestrians, vendors and several stalls.
El auto se desvió hacia la gente. El auto pasó la solera y arrastró toda la gente hacia allá. Ya, y después se sintió un estruendo, seguramente parece que chocó con un toldo, no sé con qué, ya después quedó griterío. Pero también tengo otras versiones de otras personas que dicen que al auto lo chocaron por atrás. Ya, eso yo no lo puedo corroborar porque yo no lo vi.
3 women and 3 men were killed while the injured were taken to Dr. Gustavo Frick Hospital, with authorities saying none was in a life-threatening condition. On a related note, the police said that the driver was an off-duty Chilean Navy corporal assigned to Fuerte Aguayo, and he was arrested and underwent alcohol testing as prosecutors opened an investigation into the crash. The Chilean Navy expressed its condolences to the victims' families, pledged full cooperation with the investigation, and announced an internal administrative inquiry. Moving on, our focus to crime. A local media reported members of India's opposition Congress party climbed barricades and chanted slogans in Rajasthan's Jaipur, demanding justice for a 13-year-old girl allegedly gang-raped and trafficked by more than 20 men over the last few days last month. The minor was allegedly gang-raped at hotels in Sri Ganganagar, Rajasthan.
राजस्थान पूरे देश के अंदर एक ऐसा स्टेट बन चुका है जो रेप में नंबर 1 है, घरेलू हिंसा में जो पूरे देश को लीड कर रहा है। ये बात करते थे कि हम विकास में राजस्थान को डबल इंजन की सरकार नंबर 1 पर ले जाएगी, लेकिन इस बात में कोई शक नहीं रहा कि 2.5 साल में इन्होंने रेप, दुष्कर्म और महिला अत्याचारों में इस राजस्थान को पूरे देश में एक लीडिंग स्टेट के रूप में स्थापित कर दिया है।
Meanwhile, Police Superintendent of Sri Ganganagar, Hari Shankar, said that the case is being investigated with utmost sensitivity, and the hotel buildings in which the crime allegedly took place were demolished by the administration for violating regulations and norms. Still ahead, a massive fire in a Bangkok bar.
Menggosok baju sekaligus boleh menjimatkan elektrik.
You're watching World Today. An explosion that sparked a fire at a popular pub in Bangkok has killed 27 people in one of the deadliest such incidents in the tourism hub in recent years. Another 63 people were injured and hospitalized, with the Bangkok governor saying that 22 of them were in critical condition. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul, who visited the site, said that the pub in Bangkok's Chatuchak district rapidly filled with smoke after a fire broke out, forcing many to run to the back of the venue near the bathrooms. But there were no fire escapes. A number of the victims were found near a fire exit, and authorities believe there may have been obstructions blocking it. By the time rescue workers arrived at the scene, witnesses said the flames that had erupted at the front of the venue's stage had already spread through the area. The live music venue has a stage, 2 bars and a kitchen with a total capacity of more than 300 people, as well as 4 fire exits. A wildfire along the A6 motorway south of Paris spread into the Fontainebleau forest, forcing authorities to shut the highway in both directions while firefighters battled to bring the blaze under control. Firefighters said smoke from the blaze was affecting visibility on the motorway. The A6 motorway was closed in both directions between Noisy-sur-École and Nemours. Around 100 firefighters were deployed on both sides of the motorway, supported by 2 heavy helicopters and a water-bombing aircraft. The firefighters described the blaze as very virulent and said that it had burnt about 16 hectares. Meanwhile, the fire service spokesperson said that the incident that they are dealing with might extend over several days. At least 51 people have died in southeastern Bangladesh after days of torrential monsoon rain, intensified by a depression in the Bay of Bengal, worsening flooding across the region. According to the country's disaster management ministry, more than 1 million people remained stranded as heavy rain continued. In the hill district of Bandarban, road links with the rest of the country were severely disrupted as highways were submerged and landslides blocked key routes. Swollen rivers inundated surrounding areas, forcing many villagers from their homes. Volunteers worked round the clock to assist affected communities, distributing hot meals and emergency supplies to stranded residents. However, local people said many remote areas in the hill districts had yet to receive adequate aid. Typhoon Bavi, the most powerful storm to strike mainland China this year, brought heavy rain to the eastern coast with over 2.8 million people having been evacuated. Chinese state-run media CCTV aired footage of heavy rain, strong winds and flooded streets with uprooted trees blocking roads and damaged infrastructure. Clean-up operations by emergency crews was also pictured, with floodwaters being drained and workers using excavators to restore road access to affected areas. Scientists have warned China could face more extreme weather this year, with the expected emergence of the El Niño weather pattern, which can drive up temperatures and shift typhoon tracks westward towards the country's coast. Elsewhere, South Korea issued an emergency heat wave warning for the southeastern cities of Gyeongsang and Pohang, the first activation of the country's new extreme weather alert system introduced in June. According to the Korea Meteorological Administration, temperatures in the region were forecast to reach as high as 39 degrees Celsius. Under the new system, an extreme heat warning will be issued when the region records a maximum perceived temperature of 35 degrees Celsius or higher for at least 2 consecutive days. The warning will also apply if the forecast shows a perceived temperature of 38 degrees Celsius or an actual temperature of 39 degrees Celsius or above for at least one additional day. Temperatures climbed to 37 degrees Celsius in both cities on Sunday afternoon, marking the highest readings of the day.
Negara, satu benua, 2 gergasi Eropah yang bakal menggegarkan pentas bola sepak dunia. Ramalan yang sukar diduga. Siapakah yang bakal melangkah ke perlawanan akhir? Segala-galanya akan terjawab. Saksikan perlawanan separuh akhir Rabu 15 Julai. Perancis menentang Spanyol. Grandstand 2 pagi, sepak mula 3 pagi. Saksikan perlawanan epik ini dengan ulasan bahasa Melayu di Sukan Plus dan ulasan bahasa Inggeris di TV OK. Saksikan secara langsung eksklusif ini di Sukan Plus, TV OK dan Go Stream langsung di RTM Klik.
A month after the expanded 48-team tournament began, the World Cup has reached the semi-final stage, with France facing Spain on Wednesday before Argentina renewed their fierce rivalry with England the following day.
Argentina are bidding to become the first team to win back-to-back World Cups since Brazil in 1962, and now head to Atlanta to play an England side led by Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane. Meanwhile, this is only England's fourth appearance in a World Cup semi-final after reaching the stage in 1966, 1990 and 2018. They have lost their last two, while Argentina have won on each of their 6 previous semi-final appearances. Spain, Argentina, France and England were effectively seeded to avoid each other before the semis, provided they topped their groups.
Meanwhile, Spain trained in Dallas ahead of playing France in the World Cup semi-finals. Luis de la Fuente's side have conceded only 1 goal in the tournament so far, and that was in their 2-1 victory over Belgium in the quarterfinals.
But Spain will now face their toughest test against France, whose attacking frontline are proving to be a formidable force. Spain beat France in the Euro 2024 semis and then again in last year's UEFA Nations League last fall. But the 2026 version of Didier Deschamps' team are a very different proposition. Kylian Mbappe has scored 8 goals with Ousmane Dembele bagging 5. The last time a team had 2 players with such numbers was Brazil in 2002. Lamine Yamal's record is also still intact, and that's Spain never lose when he starts a match. Since 2023, Spain are undefeated in 26 games when the Barcelona youngster plays from kickoff.
Switzerland manager Murat Yakin said he was proud of his side's battling performance against Argentina yesterday, but still frustrated at the series of events that saw his team reduced to 10 men.
The red card for striker Breel Embolo, just after Switzerland had equalised, saw them launch a frantic rearguard in their World Cup quarterfinal in Kansas City before losing 3-1 in extra time. Embolo was booked in the first half. Yakin said Leandro Paredes had overacted to earn the striker a caution before being booked for a dive in the second period, after referee João Pinheiro had initially booked Paredes after a second coming together. Yakin said there was no need to have booked Paredes after Embolo's dive. If he hadn't received the caution, video assistant referee VAR wouldn't have become involved and Embolo would have remained on the pitch. Now, despite his disappointment, Yakin said he was proud of guiding Switzerland to their best World Cup performance since 1954.
Senegal fired coach Pape Buenatao, saying that the team's World Cup results required a change in leadership.
Senegal had hoped to be contenders at the World Cup after beating Morocco in January's Africa Cup of Nations final, but had a disappointing tournament in which they lost their opening 2 group games to France and Norway and let slip a 2-0 lead with 5 minutes remaining against Belgium in the last 32 before going down 3-2 in extra time. Theo was due to begin a 5-match ban in September at the start of 2027 Cup of Nations qualifiers because he led a walk-off of players in protest at the penalty that Morocco were awarded in the final in Rabat. French daily L'Equipe reported that Patrick Vieira, the French World Cup winner who was born in Dhaka, was among the favourites to take over.
Moving on to tennis, Jannik Sinner retained his Wimbledon title by beating Alexander Zverev 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-4 in the final to claim his 5th Grand Slam crown and extend his dominance over the German to 10 straight victories. And meanwhile, in cycling, Mathieu van der Poel triumphed in a scramble for the finish line on stage 9 of the Tour de France as the Alpecin Premier Tech rider secured his first Grand Tour stage win of the year.
Tobias Johansson and Tom Pidcock finished second and third, while Slovenian four-time champion Tadej Pogačar crossed the line soon after to maintain his overall lead. It was the third Tour de France stage win in the career of the 31-year-old Dutchman, who was forced to abandon last year's race due to pneumonia. The ride from Melmoth to Ussel, shortened by 30 kilometres due to heat risks, began with several attacks, and even as breakaway group of 5 opened a gap, the peloton caught them before the Côte de Navis.
Yeah, it was a super hard day. Start of the tour was not great for our team, but I think, like always, we stayed calm. We have a really nice group here, and we kept believing that it will turn around. And maybe not today, maybe second week, maybe third week, but yeah, it's really nice to go to the first rest day with a win.
After a rest day, the race will continue on Tuesday with a mountainous 166.6 kilometre ride.
And that wraps up World Today this time round. Don't forget to watch the FIFA World Cup 2026 live via MyTV and RTM Click's OTT platform for free. #Satu Bola Satu Dunia. Celebrate every goal, every moment, every emotion with RTM. Until next time, I'm Mohana Priya. Salam Malaysia Madani, and thank you for watching.